What is up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, October 12th, 2019. Going to try this live stream again. Hopefully it works. So before I jump into the charts, I want to say this. If you're a replay viewer, if you're here right now, you're live. Bitcoin to me, no matter what it's about to do in the short term, is extremely bullish. It is so bullish to me. I was meeting up with a buddy yesterday. We were talking about it. Timing is just right. It just is. Is it as good as it was back in 2012, 2015 to accumulate? No, I don't think we'll ever see those prices again. However, there are many people that I come across, that you might come across, that say, if you ask them about Bitcoin, it's too late. I missed it. The hype is over. It hit 20,000. It's never going there again. And I just feel like that cannot be further from the truth. How early we are right now is insane to me. And there are some things on the charts that really speak to that. And that's really what I want to point out in this video. So if you are a replay viewer, I'm going to make this video small so you can see my oscillators. If you're here right now and you're like, oh, this is such a hype video, this is just my opinion. If my opinion sounds hype, then that's fine. You know, I'm in this long term. I have my risk tolerance. For me specifically, you know, the way that I accumulate, the way that I'm invested is something I'm comfortable with. And so I can sit back and relax and just feel hype. I can feel excited. I do feel excited about this investment called Bitcoin. And I want to just, I want to give you some context into the charts on why Bitcoin actually looks so bullish right now. And it might be warranted if you have the opinion on the short term that it might not be bullish, right? Meaning we might have another leg down. That is true. There's data that suggests that we could easily, see another leg down into the $5,000 range. But that means nothing to me. If anything, that's just another buy zone, right? Bitcoin will be extremely oversold by that time. And that would just be a higher low for Bitcoin, and that could be bullish. So I'm gonna present to you very clear data in regards to Bitcoin charts, and take it or leave it. You know what I mean? If you don't like Bitcoin, I don't really know why you'd be sitting here watching a Bitcoin video anyway. But for those invested, I just want to show you what the charts say, and they say a lot of things. But namely, what I have here is a weekly chart. And there's nothing I like better in terms of accumulation, in terms of understanding the long-term perspective and the long-term outlook of Bitcoin than zooming out on the charts, especially on the weekly. I mean, it looks awesome, first of all, right? But secondly, what I did here, and I try to make it as clear, as simple as possible. It took me like 1 minute to do this. This stock RSI on the weekly, this is the bottom oscillator that you see here on the bottom of my screen, right next to my face. This is the stock RSI, a quicker moving momentum oscillator, taken from data from the slower moving oscillator, the RSI, right? One thing we do know is if the RSI is in this oversold area down here, that's like the most bullish of bullish in terms of accumulation. If you're trying to limit your risk, that's when you want to purchase and accumulate Bitcoin. You don't want to purchase it on the RSI when it's up here, it's overbought, it's $20,000, right? Right up here. Everybody remembers that. You don't want to buy up there. You want to buy when it's oversold. But similarly, and that doesn't happen a lot, oversold so much on the RSI, right? You can go back to 2015 here, and then 2011 back here are really the only 3 times Bitcoin has been pretty much in that oversold area on the RSI. However, the stock RSI, this oscillator below here at the bottom of the screen, as I mentioned, quicker moving oscillator, right? So it's really an illustration of the volatility of Bitcoin, right? These huge ups, these huge downs, 40% down, 100% up, right? This is an illustration of that on the weekly chart. It's very clear. And so you have an environment where Bitcoin is more often than the RSI oversold, right? It's a quicker moving momentum oscillator. So you see it oversold more times on this stock RSI. So this most recent time, right next to my face down here, oversold. It's where we are right now. And historically, and you can do this yourself, you can go back on the charts and you can look at this. Historically, Bitcoin, every time Bitcoin is in this oversold area on the stock RSI on the weekly chart, pretty much every time Bitcoin bounces, right? And this isn't the first time I mentioned this, but I took just a little bit of time and I just want to illustrate this to you. And this is in a bullish or bearish environment, right? So in a bearish downtrend, this might be a better for traders, right? If you're not holding your position on the way down, namely this bear market that we were just in. But let's look at it. Most previous time Bitcoin, and you look at the bottom of my screen, stock RSI oversold. What did Bitcoin do from that oversold area? That was a bear market bottom. 300% gains, plus 300% gains. And then the time before that, right? Here's the time before that, stock RSI oversold. Mind you, we were in a downtrend. This is in the bear market, but still coming out of that oversold, if you would have accumulated and bought, you'd have an opportunity for, 41% gains in around a month time frame. If you look at the screen before that, oversold again around 40, 47, 50% gains in a short time frame. Good for traders, right? If you don't want to hold on the way down to $3,000, $4,000, but either way, just really nice gains from a perspective of buying an asset and seeing 40% in a month, right? So this stock RSI is indicative of gains coming your way one way or another. And this isn't my opinion. This is just what the charts say. Going back in a bull market, this oversold area on the stock RSI proves to yield even more gains, right? So here's one back in March 2017, 230% gains. Here's another one, the previous stock RSI oversold, 100% gains. Here's the one before that, 100+% gains. And it continues, right? Here's one here I didn't measure, but that was actually that last low of the bear market, 2015, coming out of there. Insane gains, right? So interestingly enough, if you take this a step further and you say, okay, well, where are we in the cycles of Bitcoin? And one of the things we can do is take our Fibonacci retracement. So we look at that last cycle and you can see our 618 to 786. I'm going to try and zoom in here for you. So this green rectangle here, right here, when we saw this resistance at this 618 to 786, here was one of those 100% plus gains into that resistance, but then back down. And a lot of people, myself included, kind of saying this is extremely similar to where we are now in Bitcoin cycle, right? Right here at this Fibonacci retracement resistance back down above the 50-week moving average. And look what happened at that time. We hit another stock RSI oversold area, right? So we look very similar to this time frame if we're comparing where we are now. Either way, one thing is extremely similar. We're oversold on the stock RSI, right? And with that, we have this extremely similar data, which is our Fibonacci retracement coming out of the bear market to our Fibonacci resistance right here, right? So we're getting that same exact bounce off of this channel back down into stock RSI oversold. Bitcoin is oversold. Mind you, we're not as oversold as we were at the bottom of this previous bear market. So when I started this video, I basically said, on the short term, it might be warranted to say, Bitcoin doesn't look bullish. What are you talking about, Dan? This is such a hype video because your title says Bitcoin is simply bullish. Well, if you zoom out on the charts and you take all this data that I just gave to you in like 5 minutes, Bitcoin is extremely bullish, right? Is there risk? Yes. Is there possible downside? Yes. Could crypto fail? Yeah, sure. However, if you have that risk tolerance, if you're using money that you can afford to lose, I feel like there's like no better investment in the world right now. I just feel that way. I'm like very convinced of that. So that's why Bitcoin is simply bullish. As long as you're not like putting everything you own into it and taking that risk, I think that would be a little bit foolish, right? That's not my risk mindset. Maybe 10 years ago, I might have been close to that. But so that is basically what I'm looking at. And these are just very simple indicators that are 100% consistent throughout the history of Bitcoin. This isn't like rocket science. This isn't some new crazy algorithm or crazy, theory that I'm throwing out there. These are like the simplest of simple indicators that we have on Bitcoin charts, and they suggest very much that Bitcoin looks extremely bullish. And this is just one reason why. I do want to say, if you do look at the daily chart, there are some things to be mindful of, especially on the short term. And I want to go to the daily chart. So on the short term, Bitcoin, there is a lot of potential for another leg down. And I want to say this, and this plays into why Bitcoin is simply bullish, is because if Bitcoin does get another leg down, suppose it gets another leg down to 6,400, and I have this line at 6,400 based on a video I did 2 or 3 days ago. It was a really good tweet I came across talking about mining costs and how $64 is the potential floor for Bitcoin. And you should definitely check out that video if you want to add in that mining data into the technicals. So suppose Bitcoin does see a leg down at this point to 6,400, 6,000, right? Please keep in mind, Bitcoin is going to be even more oversold at that point on this weekly chart over here, right? It's going to be extremely oversold on the daily chart over here. And all of that will be happening in an environment where Bitcoin will be putting in a higher low, right? So say Bitcoin comes down here, $6,000 area. From its bottom back in December, this is going to be a higher low. And that higher low, if this happened, would be in the middle of this massive symmetrical triangle that extends back to its upper trend line high back in the bull run that we had in 2017. A massive triangle, right? So we'd be trading with a higher low in this symmetrical triangle, potential continuation pattern, right? Everybody's talking about the bull market. When will it commence? Some people have said it commenced when we were here, but that's the emotionality of the market talking. The bull market will not be here until we break this channel up to $16,000. That's our Fibonacci retracement channel. When that happens, the bull market will commence, will begin, right? So will it look like something like this? Maybe, but somewhere in the future here, I believe will be the breakout that everybody wants for Bitcoin. And we always talk about patience on this channel. We talk about the need to sit back, to relax, to let the charts play out, to let the cycles play out. And this is exactly what it looks like. But all in all, even if we had another leg down, right? And we can even measure this if we put a price range on it from where we are right now. Even if we had a 26% drop of Bitcoin to $6,400 area, I sit here 100% convinced. And with conviction, I tell you, that is extremely bullish, right? And there will be a lot of fear in the market. And that's just because people aren't zooming out on the charts. That's simply because people aren't looking at the zoomed out charts and saying, oh, this type of move happens all the time. This type of move has always happened. This is nothing new. This is nothing to be fearful about. And if anything, it creates opportunity. I'm not trying to influence you in how you accumulate or trade or whatever. This is 100% my perspective. This is what I do on a daily basis. I'm looking at the charts. I'm anticipating what can happen on the upside, what can happen on the downside. And that's simply so that I can sit back, I can do my thing throughout the day, run my business, and feel comfortable with my Bitcoin decisions as well, right? Subconsciously, I think it's important to feel comfortable with your investments, and Bitcoin is a huge investment for some people. So this downside here, extremely bullish. And I'll even go as far to say this, because a lot of people are comparing this, and I think it's warranted to kind of have this mindset. If you remember when we were trading like just above, I say $6,000 here, right? Kind of this descending triangle. We kept hitting $6,000 area, and then we had this bearish breakout. It was very ugly and very, very much needed. And it was actually, just to give you an idea, 50% to the downside after we kind of just tanked, right? So a lot of people saying kind of this 50 moving average resistance that we had here is similar to this 200 moving average resistance that we have here on Bitcoin. And that could be true, right? So I'm going to go as far to say this. If it is that similar, right? Even if Bitcoin does exactly what it did then, and we get this resistance off the 200 moving average on the daily chart, and Bitcoin actually goes down another 50%, similar to what it did at the bottom of the bear market, I will sit here and actually tell you that is bullish. And you really have to zoom out on the charts to understand why I'm saying that. But what we look for in technical analysis are the perfect setups, right? The perfect setups that create a foundation for bullishness, a foundation for healthy growth, right? And so even a move 50% down from where we are right now, right, to $4,300, this plays into a truly clear continuation for Bitcoin and a possible bullish pattern setup. So obviously we have the symmetrical triangle. I need to draw it for you, but this again would be a higher low extending from its bearish bottom that it had. Will that happen? I don't know. That's what we're sitting here waiting. We're tracking the charts. We're seeing if we get continued resistance here at the 200 moving average. I'll zoom in here so you can see it. It's not good, right? We definitely need Bitcoin to break above this 200 moving average here. That would be very bullish, and it would be a very similar look in terms of what happened at the bottom of the bear market. Here's the 50 moving average. It was concerning when Bitcoin was having trouble breaking back above it, right? We had that huge 50% drop. We got back above it for a few days, back down below it, and we're seeing this continued resistance, right? And I remember just wondering, are we getting another leg down off of this 50 moving average resistance? And then finally one day Bitcoin had a beautiful breakup above the 50 moving average. And then from there we tracked the support above it, and then things started looking bullish. You can see how this changes all in a matter of a week, right? The environment that Bitcoin might be growing in. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, based around the 200 moving average. Are we going to get something similar where Bitcoin, we're talking about potential resistance and a potential drop from this 200 moving average, but are we going to have Bitcoin break above it, right? And start trading above it. And then we're going to have this little twist of the 50 moving average, kind of start moving bullish again. We get back above the 50 moving average, and then we're in a very bullish environment where we're testing the upper trend line here, and bull market ensues. Speculative, everybody, but this is what's on the charts. This is the data. I'm just sharing it with you. One thing is true. I'll circle it back around to how I started this video. Stock RSI, take note of it. Take note of the oscillators, the indicators that are 100% consistent pretty much for the lifetime of Bitcoin. Could that change? Yeah, maybe there'll be that first time it just, I don't know, we just stay in oversold area on the stock RSI, right? We just stay here. Maybe we just stay here for a very long time. And then this RSI on the weekly gets crazy oversold more than ever before. It could happen, but I'm just saying it has never happened. And historically, it's proven to be a great area of accumulation. Those are my thoughts. That's why Bitcoin is simply bullish. What do you think? Press 1 if you agree with me. Press 1 if you agree that Bitcoin is simply bullish. Press 2 if you do not think Bitcoin is simply bullish. Press 2 if you actually think Bitcoin is simply bearish. I would love to know. I really would. Look, we got a 1, we got a 2, we got a bearish. It's so hard for me to be bearish. I mean, we've endured such a crazy time from that bull market high, and we did video pretty much every day throughout the entire bear market. So where we are right now is so hard, so difficult for me to be bearish. Wendell says, great time to buy for long-term gains. I agree. Poseidon Lou is number 3, indifferent. Poseidon Lou. It's got to be, he's the misfit, pressing 3. I tweeted actually like a couple hours ago. I just said Bitcoin looks so ready, and I posted this chart because it's very simple. It's to look at the chart and you can take note. Bitcoin really looks very ready. And I actually just got this comment. They said, "Not really, buddy. I mean, we're in the middle of the triangle. It looks like it needs to touch the bottom again and then break out. That looks like mid 2021. So back to what I was saying in terms of this triangle, maybe Bitcoin does touch the bottom of it, right? That could happen in the next couple months. I'm not sure where they're getting mid 2021. That would be all the way out here. And typically you have a breakout of a symmetrical triangle, 75% to the apex on average, sometimes sooner, sometimes a little later. I just don't think Bitcoin's going to be trading within this range that long, right? I think we're going to get a breakout sooner than later. Hopefully it's to the upside. And obviously at the end of the day, just be prepared for anything. Just be prepared for anything in terms of what you're doing with your portfolio and what you're doing with your money. It's very important. And don't listen to YouTubers. Don't take anything that I say as financial advice, but study the data. That's what I'm doing, and I'm just sharing it with you. Those are my thoughts today. I need to get back to work. Busy day, going out later with Sarah, and just trying to enjoy my weekend. Trying to make moves, everybody. I hope you're doing the same. I hope you're having a great day. If you're here right now and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of the channel as we grow this thing. And yes, as one day, we enter the bull market. First time doing YouTube videos in a bull market. I'm waiting for it. It's going to be fun. Hit the like on the way out. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great Saturday. God bless.